Here are 6 common credit card mistakes that a lot of people make. These errors might be silently costing you hundreds, thousands, or yes, even tens of thousands of dollars in missed opportunities and potentially harming your credit score. Chances are, if you're just starting out with credit cards, then you're probably going to make at least one of these mistakes, and that can have lasting effects if you're not careful. So throughout this video, I'll be showing you the financial habits that I've developed over the past few years of holding nearly 20 credit cards that help protect my credit, avoid or minimize fees, earn the highest possible cash back, and get literally tens of thousands of dollars in free travel every year. If you're new here, welcome. My name's Ethan, and let's dive right into the beginner credit card mistakes you should avoid. Mistake number 1 is probably the worst mistake you can make, so focus on mastering this before you move on to any of the other mistakes that I mentioned in this video. And that is carrying a balance, only making minimum payments, or missing payments. Carrying a balance or only making minimum payments means you're probably paying interest on your credit card, and that can cost you a lot of money. Missing payments is one of the worst things you can do because not only will you have late payment fees, but it can very negatively affect your credit in the long run. And that might make the difference between getting a good interest rate on a car or home loan, for example, or a bad interest rate that literally costs you tens of thousands of dollars more. So if you're doing any of these things mentioned, chances are credit cards are making you worse off, and you need to avoid these completely. But with a few good financial habits in place, which I'll show you, you can turn things around and make credit cards work for you instead of against you. And here are a few tips that will help make credit cards profitable for you. First is to never treat your credit card like having extra money. That credit limit that you have is not extra money for you to spend, and you should always treat your credit card exactly like a debit card. With a debit card, the money you have in your bank account is the money you have to spend, and you should treat a credit card exactly the same way, and always make sure there's money in your bank account before you spend it on your credit card. Another tip I have for you to avoid late payment fees is to set up auto pay. Most banks allow you to set up auto pay so that your bank will automatically make payments each month, and that way you'll never miss a payment. Setting up auto pay is probably one of the easiest financial habits you can implement. It's literally the easiest way to avoid a late payment and protect your credit. I personally like to auto pay my statement balance so that I know I'm never paying any interest on my credit card. Another tip I have for you that has worked out very well for me is to request your due date to be the same day each month across all of your credit cards. A lot of banks allow you to change the due date on your credit card. And for me personally, having all of my credit card due dates be the same date each month makes it very easy for me to manage all of my credit cards, and really easier to manage my money in general. So the same time each month, I sit down and I look at the balances across all of my credit cards and I pay them off. I do this even though I have auto pay set up on all my cards, just to make sure I'm paying off my balances on time and in full. Overall, you should strive to pay off all of your credit card balances on time and in full every month. And if you do this, your credit will improve, your future loans will cost you less, and you'll start earning from credit cards rather than paying for them. On the note of earning with credit cards, the next mistake on this list is about how much cash back you're earning with your credit cards, and that is only earning 1%. This one hurts me a lot to hear when people are only earning 1% on their credit card. The top credit cards out there can earn you a lot of cash back, and over the course of a few years, it's really not unreasonable to expect to earn a few $1,000s in cash back if you're smart about it. But a lot of people just don't know how to tell a good credit card with an excellent earning category from a bad one. And they end up getting a regular credit card from their local bank or credit union with the lowest possible earning category of 1%. The reason this is such a big mistake is there are so many other credit cards out there that can earn you more than 1%. And with some basic strategy, I would say it's pretty easy to earn at least 2% back all the time, minimum. And over the course of a few years, you could earn literally thousands of dollars more in cash back by doing that. But you should know that it's definitely possible to earn 5% or sometimes 10% or even more, depending on your card. So many cards out there earn more than 1% that you should just never be earning only 1% back. For example, the Chase Freedom Unlimited, Capital One Quicksilver, and Citi Double Cash all earn 1.5% or 2% back on everything. And if you hold any one of these cards, you've already beat what most regional banks and credit unions can offer you. But you can do much better than that with cards like the Chase Freedom Flex, Discover It Cashback, and Citi Custom Cash, which all earn 5% back on different categories like gas stations, Amazon, PayPal, and more. Although these cards have great earning categories, they're also very specific and won't earn you 5% on some of your other main spending categories. But there are cards out there that always earn really great cash back in common earning categories, like the Capital One Saver One, Citi Premier, and American Express Gold Card. The Premier and Gold do have annual fees, but they do also have bonuses and credits that offset these fees pretty well. And overall, my point with all of these examples is that with a pretty basic 1 to 3 card setup, you can very easily earn more than 1% back. Speaking of having a card setup, our next mistake is a big misconception I hear about credit cards all the time. So mistake number 3 is thinking having multiple credit cards is bad. A lot of people are afraid of opening multiple credit cards because they think that is bad for your credit. There is an element of truth to that when just looking at the short-term effects on your credit, but looking at the long-term effects on your credit of having multiple credit cards, the exact opposite is true. And it turns out that having multiple credit cards can be very positive for your credit in the long run. And only having 1 or 2 credit cards can potentially be very negative to your credit. The reason for this is some of the primary factors behind your credit score is how many accounts you hold, what types of accounts those are, and how much credit you are utilizing. To simplify a long explanation, the credit bureaus would like to see that you have experience holding multiple lines of credit and to see if you have experience managing a larger credit limit responsibly. However, if they see that you've only ever held 1 or 2 credit cards and thus have an overall lower credit limit, then they will consider your credit poor. So in the long run, holding multiple credit cards will be very positive for your credit score, which could save you real money in future loans. In addition to the other perks that come with credit cards, like cashback and others, which I'll be showing you in just a minute. Do be aware that opening a new credit card does have a short-term effect on your credit score, because you will gain a new hard inquiry and you will also affect the average age of your credit. These can't really be avoided if you want to grow your credit score, and if you're not planning on opening a new important loan like a car loan or a mortgage in the next 6 to 12 months, then there's not a lot of downsides to opening a new card fairly often. And personally, I open a new card every 1 to 3 months so I can earn a lot of credit card points and other perks, which I'll be telling you about in just a minute. Mistake number 4 is probably the next most common mistake I see with people starting out with credit cards, and it causes people to miss out on my favorite way to earn a ton of credit card points and cash back. And that is not valuing welcome bonuses over earning categories. Earning categories, which we talked a lot about in mistake number 2, are very important, but they often pale in comparison to the bonuses that you can earn on credit cards. The best credit cards out there pretty much always have a welcome bonus, which is where the bank will give you a bunch of credit card points or cash back after meeting a certain spend requirement for opening a new card. These bonuses can be very lucrative, and they're the main reason that I open a new card every 1 to 3 months. The Chase Freedom Unlimited, which was one of my very first cards, is a great example and illustrates this point very well. The card earns 1.5% back on everything, as well as 3% on dining and drugstores. If we spent $500 even on the higher 3% earning category only, we would have a grand total of 1,500 Chase points or $15 in cash back. However, if we spent that same $500 while earning the welcome bonus on the card, we would have $200 in cash back or 20,000 Chase Ultimate Rewards points. And that's the equivalent of earning 40% back on your spend. Now, if I was relying on the 3% earning category alone to try and earn that same $200 in cash back from the welcome bonus, it would take around $6,700 in spend to earn that same $200 back. But for example, instead of spending that amount all on that one card, I could open new cards and earn a couple of welcome bonuses that would probably add up to the thousands of dollars in cash back. This can be very lucrative for even more reasons that I'll explain in the next 2 beginner mistakes, but a lot of people just don't understand how valuable these welcome bonuses can be. Which leads me to mistake number 5, which is leaving welcome bonuses on the table. There are a lot of good welcome bonuses out there, and I'm about to show you just a few of them. And it's easily possible to earn thousands of dollars in cash back with the cards I'm about to show you if you know what you're doing. But I will say it helps to learn about the application rules around top credit card companies, which are Chase, American Express, Citi, Capital One, US Bank, Barclays, Bank of America, and maybe Wells Fargo. You'll definitely want to learn about the specific rules each bank has in order to get approved. But to give you some very specific welcome bonus recommendations, here are some examples. First, you could start with Chase credit cards, which I would recommend to almost everyone to start out with. For instance, you could open the Chase Freedom Flex, Freedom Unlimited, and Chase Sapphire Preferred. Earn the welcome bonuses on these cards and you will have 100,000 Chase points. Now the Sapphire Preferred does come with a $95 annual fee, but it does come with some credits and benefits. But to simplify this example, you could use the points from the welcome bonus to cover the annual fee, and there's a quick $900 in cash back from Chase credit cards. Another good place for welcome bonuses is Capital One credit cards. You could open the Quicksilver Rewards and the Capital One Saver One for a quick $400 in cash back from the welcome bonuses. But since Capital One limits you to just 2 personal credit cards, I would consider getting the Venture or Venture X card instead of the Capital One Quicksilver, because they are just such great travel credit cards. And even if you just treated the Venture like a cashback card, you could probably get $300 to $750 in value from its welcome bonus. And another example of welcome bonuses is with Citi. You could open the Citi Custom Cash and the Citi Premier and earn a pretty easy $800 in cashback value, minus the $95 annual fee from the Premier. So I've only covered a few cards from 3 banks, but trust me when I say there's a lot more welcome bonuses out there. Especially when you start looking at cards that earn hotel points and airline miles, you can earn a lot more value than what I just showed you with the cashback example. And that brings us to the next mistake, which is not realizing you can use credit card points for travel instead of cashback. With pretty much all of the credit cards I've talked about in this video, you can earn cashback in the form of credit card points. But instead of redeeming them for cashback, you can redeem them for travel in multiple ways. And when you redeem these points for travel, they can be worth significantly more value than cashback. For example, I recently used 125,000 Chase points, normally worth $1,250 in cashback, to book a Virgin Atlantic flight for a return trip from Europe for my family of 5. Had I paid cash for that same exact flight, it would have cost me a ridiculous $7,000. So by transferring my 125,000 Chase points to Virgin Atlantic instead of redeeming them for cashback, I essentially multiplied their value by 5. Now, to be fair, I probably could have found a cheaper flight through Google Flights for around $3,000 to $4,000 for my family. But even if that was the cash price of the flight that I got by transferring my points, it still would have been 3 times the value of my points as cashback. An even more extreme example is the flights that I booked to Europe, because I booked business class flights for my family using 275,000 points. And the cash price for those flights was over $13,000. Another recent example of me using my credit card points for a hotel stay is when I stayed at Hyatt's Alila Ventana Big Sur in California. I transferred 90,000 Chase points to Hyatt Hotels in order to book a room that would have cost me a crazy $7,800 in cash. The reason that you can do this is because some of the top credit card banks have relationships with various hotel and airline partners. And they allow you to transfer your credit card points to the hotel or airline in exchange for their points currency. And when you learn what some of the best ways to transfer your points are, you can get some pretty incredible value. And this is why pretty much every year I get well over $10,000 in travel through my credit card points. If you'd like to see even more examples on how I use my credit card points to travel, then definitely check out my video on how to redeem Chase points for maximum value. But otherwise, comment below if you have any questions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.